I'm going to give it about a minute or two before people show up, before I start discussing things, because I'd rather not backpedal. But let me mute myself. I'm just watching the live stream in case people actually decide to join in on the conversation. But um, if you want to watch this back, I will. I will start at least discussing something real quick. This does need to be talked about. I don't care if only one person watches this. I don't care if I don't care if nobody watches this. I don't care how long this runs. I don't necessarily care how this is received. If people want to disagree with this, they can disagree with this. You don't have to be subscribed to this channel or anything like that. Just quite frankly, as the title says, we're going to be talking about a very serious subject. So if you don't feel like you're equipped for this subject matter, or if you want to argue the viewpoints, I suggest you don't, because there's quite a bit I want to talk about with this. Because even though I'm a cisgender, straight, white male, there's something about this that bothers me. And you might be surprised which side I'm actually going to be on the side of. Maybe. Common decency would dictate otherwise. But there's no gameplay today. I know my channel is mostly gameplay, but this is not going to be one of those videos. I'm sorry if that's what you were expecting, but it's not going to be one of those by any stretch of the imagination. I will give it until, well, it's actually 3:30 now. I'm going to click off of the live stream on my laptop and we'll get right into the topic itself. If I don't read one of your comments right away, I'm sorry, but this is just something that needs to be discussed, and this isn't, something that really should have any sort of discourse to it. I'm going to try my best to articulate the points I believe, and then I'm going to try to keep this unbiased, even though there should be some sort of bias towards it, in my opinion. But, anyway, I don't know a whole lot about the Sarah Everard situation in the UK, I believe it is. See, even then, that's basically me saying I don't know where this has taken place. But what I do know from seeing on my trending page on Twitter, and it's not just trending for me, it's just trending in general, about how women are coming forward with their experiences about, like, what they've gone through with their safety concerns and their safety fears in public because of men. And now, before there's any discourse, whether this is through the live chat or through the comments anytime in the future, if this is viewed, and I don't care if it is, again, what I'm trying to articulate here is that, yeah, it can happen to anybody, but right now we're worried about, the safety concerns of women, because more often than not, it seems like women have to deal with more safety concerns in public than men do. And you can argue against that all you want, but until I see otherwise, that's the point I'm going to stand on, is that women have to deal with a lot more publicly in terms of their own safety compared to men. And I will argue that point. That is the hill I'm willing to draw my last breath on, pretty much. But there are quite a few women coming forward with their experiences with these things. And just give me 1 second here. I'm trying to actually pull it up on here and flip between that and my Twitter page and the live stream. But like there are quite a few women coming forward about their experiences, and I'm glad they are. Like, I'm always for coming forward about your experiences and what what someone's going through, because you shouldn't have to keep quiet about that, if you're going through something, like, I would absolutely hope that when you feel comfortable bringing it forward, you absolutely should, without a shadow of a doubt. But what am I getting at here? I'm trying to find it. Yeah, it was trending on the UK national news this morning. Following disappearance of 33-year-old Sarah Everard in South London, women are sharing their thoughts, stories, and experiences about what it's like to constantly feel unsafe. Laura Pattison talk about how this week is so unrelentingly bleak, and how how, like, almost all women have these sort of stories, and it's so horribly normalized. And yeah, that's true, it is so horribly normalized, and it's heartbreaking, like she says. And I'm not trying to, like, fill in other people's, or fill in like my thoughts with other people's words, but I'm a white male. I'm a cisgender white male. Like, I don't have the experience or the like the relatability to fully understand or grasp the like the situation myself. So for me to give my viewpoints would kind of be a moot point. Not, like I said, I don't know the correct pronunciation, but it would be a point that wouldn't exactly have any weight to it because I haven't gone through it. So to go into it with just my opinion alone really wouldn't make much of a difference. In fact, it would come off as kind of ignorant, if you ask me. But Natalie Emmanuel, I hope I didn't mispronounce that, said she's written and deleted so many tweets about Sarah Everard, and she's angry that her life was snatched away from her, and that there seem to be people who blamed her, like not Natalie, but blamed Sarah for what happened to her. And yeah, it's bad that we know Sarah's name because of the violence of a man. Again, Rebecca Reed, I'm not good at pronouncing names, I apologize, says every single woman she knows is overwhelmed by the Sarah Everard story. It's the thing they teach them. It's the thing that women are taught to be afraid of from childhood, and it's kind of proof that women aren't afraid of their own safety in public for no reason. Molly Goodfellow said the discussion around Sarah Everard makes her feel so sad about how normalized for women, how normalized for women things like personal safety are. And she shared her own experience about how a man asked for a number once and was following her home, and she thought she had a detour, so she doesn't know, or so the guy doesn't know where she lived. And that in itself should be telling enough that women have to go through so much. I'm not saying men don't, but right now the conversation is about women because of the Sarah Everard situation. Women have to go through so much publicly with their own safety concerns and everything regarding that. And I'm going to get to a point that really infuriated me, like kind of upset me greatly, and what kind of sparked me to want to do this live stream, because there's a lot I want to talk about, and there's going to be a line drawn in the sand. And if you want to be on the opposite side of that line, then by all means be on the opposite side. I'm not telling you to take my side on things. Never. That's just not how opinions work, but just I'm going to stand on the side that I think is right, and the side I think is right is to be on the side of women who are coming forward about this. To me, common sense would dictate that that's the side you should be on, not just for the sake of being on it, but, just for common sense. Now, I'm bad at articulating my thoughts. This got a dislike already. That's totally fine. I really don't care. If you don't like what I have to say, that's fine. Okay. Give me 1 second. Yeah, if you want to dislike this video, by all means, dislike it. I really don't care. If that's the stance you're going to take on this, then okay. Yeah, Molly Goodfellow goes on to say she thinks everyone has a story like this about how they feel unsafe around men, and I get that. I don't personally understand it, but, well, no, I understand why, but I've personally never experienced it, like I've said. And I'm trying to look at this, look at the camera, and look at the recording, everything, just to make sure everything's, still working, because I want to talk about this. I want to make sure I'm keeping information up to date. Pardon me. Then Molly Goodfellow said a man on a bus tried to forcibly hold her hand, and he followed her after she got off the bus. And I think, now we're getting to the point in the trending topic where the part that infuriated me is coming up. Apparently, now, not all men is trending, and that's what bothers me. And it isn't, and I'm going to clear this up, it wasn't women who made that trend. from what I'm seeing, it's mostly men who decided to pick up that trend and put hashtag not all men, simply for the fact that, and I'm not calling anybody out here, I'm not trying to do anything but provide constructive criticism and my thoughts on this matter, but if you're one of those people who says not all men in response to someone sharing their experience, you're not part of the solution. In fact, I feel like you're just patting yourself on the back for not being one of the people who does that. And if you're doing that, that's ignorant. And you shouldn't be doing that, period. Like, because then the women coming forward about these issues are going to have the added stress of like, oh, well, I upset somebody. And, I hope they don't, like, care or feel like they don't feel discouraged to keep bringing their experiences forward, because I don't want them to have to feel like they need to be quiet about it. They shouldn't have to be quiet. They should be able to talk about what they're going through without someone saying, well, not all men are like that. Yeah, no, clearly not all men are like that, but if you're one of the people who says not all men are like that, you're not providing any sort of solution. In fact, I feel like that's part of the problem. You're trying to silence them sharing something almost, and that's what got to me, is that you think it's okay to pat yourself on the back like that. It's not. And yeah, I get it. There are men who go through situations where they feel unsafe, but tell me with confidence, I dare anybody tell me with confidence that men go through just as much or more than women do publicly, because I have yet to see it. Truly, I have yet to see it. And my point about that is, like, you don't hear, and someone's gonna probably take this out of context. Women hear or people hear a lot about women coming forward, not about a lot about men coming forward about stuff like this. But when have you ever heard of a man feeling concerned about his own safety around women, like the flipping the script and turning it on what the current situation is? I've quite literally never heard too much of like men saying, oh, I feel so insecure about my safety around women publicly, because women most certainly go through it more than men do. Am I saying men don't go through it? No, not in any shape or form. Am I making fun of it? No, not in any shape or form. But my point is, if you're one of those people who is unironically posting not all men or hashtag not all men, there's clearly a problem. If you're trying to pat yourself on the back and say, oh, well, I'm a nice guy, I don't do anything like that, no, that's clearly a problem. You shouldn't be doing that. I'm not dictating what you should or should not be doing, but what I'm saying is, like, it doesn't make you look good just by saying, well, I would never do that, or I'm not that kind of guy, or not all men are like that. And quite frankly, it kind of gives me vibes of, like, another trending tag that I won't bring up, because that's a conversation for another time, and somebody else has probably already made the point themselves on Twitter. And I'm only smiling because of how, like, not in jest of the situation at hand. It's like, how do people rightfully go like, oh, well, not all men are like that, and like feel genuinely okay with that? Like, that defeats the whole purpose. Like, I hope I'm articulating this correctly. And like I said, I really don't care if anybody's watching this. I'm glad that the live stream chat's not blowing up, because I couldn't care less. I'm not concerned about answering messages on there. I'm not in the mood to argue, because quite frankly, what is there to argue about besides how men are just being like, oh, well, not all men are like that. Okay. And, like, just let women come forward with their stories, and, like, don't try to silence them. Don't give them the added stress of being like, oh, well, I didn't mean all men are like that, I'm just sharing my experience. Like, don't make them have to feel like that you're weighing them down or trying to hold them back. You should never do that to a person, ever. And, like, some people on my Twitter page are also taking it way out of context and saying, like, well, every life matters, and there's, like, how am I supposed to put this? Like, yeah, every life does matter, but, like, that shouldn't be a response to an issue at all. It's like, oh, let's just negate of any sort of attention towards an issue that needs the attention just because I feel upset about something. No, you should absolutely let people talk about the topic at hand and not be like, oh, well, everything matters. No, yeah, you're right, it does, but it's ignorant to say that when something is going on at the time. In fact, it's ignorant in general to say that. Like, oh, everything matters. Yeah, okay, it does, but it doesn't mean you have to say that. Like, we know it does. And you saying that kind of draws away from a very serious and very, like, scary topic. And I hate that people still do that and think, oh, that's definitely okay to do, because it's clearly not. And if I seem, like, incensed or, like, a little aggravated, I kind of am, quite frankly. And I'm keeping my cool about this. Or trying to, anyway. Like I said, trying. Give me 1 second. Yeah, Holly Brockwell brings up a good point. Women are sick in Clapham and in general, like, just looking for Sarah's body and everything. And she brings up the point that, Sarah was just doing what pretty much all women have done when something like this has happened to them. They were walking home, living their life, and simply existing. And men are like, and she's not saying all men, but like there are definitely some that are going, oh yeah, awful, in like the most careless tone possible, and that's disgusting. Like, you have to take better care into the situation. For crying out loud. Yeah, it's also not just a Clapham thing, a London thing, or a UK thing. This is something women everywhere experience all the time, and I think that needs to be brought up. And drawing back to the last tweet I just mentioned from Holly Brockwell, it's like maybe now you'll understand why women don't report it to people who treat them with suspicion, even though it turns out that they're the perpetrators. Like, you people wonder why women don't come forward right away with the stories of like the abuse and stuff they've taken. It's mostly because they'll be treated with suspicion, and like they'll be held down by like, oh, well, not all men, or oh, everything matters, or like something that kind of deafens or drowns out them talking about their experience. Like, there shouldn't have to be suspicion raised upon someone bringing forward their experiences with trauma. There shouldn't be. And if you feel otherwise, then I really don't care to know why you think otherwise. It's just a common decency thing to care about what other people are going through and not trying to silence them by getting all up in your feelings about it. Someone by the name of Angel on Twitter also said it's the whole situation scaring her because she spoke to her Sarah spoke to her boyfriend on the phone, wore really bright clothing, walked on a main road, was outside before 12 a.m., and she still got, that happened to her. And as a male, I don't know how scary that is to know that, but I can only imagine or make a sort of observation about it. I was going to say jump to a conclusion, but that's not the right wording for it. It sounds ignorant to say that, and I don't want to sound ignorant. I'm trying to educate myself on these things as they come up, if that makes sense. Okay, Georgia O'Brien made mention of people are making comments about Sarah Everard making a poor decision to walk home alone at night, and if she sees another one of those, she might scream. And I honestly would too. Like, how is that a poor decision? And if these people ever see this video, I will take it down if they ask me to. I'm just sharing what they've made public on Twitter. Not for the sake of content, not for the sake of views, but for the sake of talking about the situation, because I feel like if I can have a platform to at least talk about these issues and maybe change someone's perspective for the better, I'm going to do that. And already, like I said, somebody disliked this video, and okay, dislike it. If that's the viewpoint you want to take, take it. I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince you otherwise when, the point is right there. But pretty much what she says, stop focusing on women's choices and start focusing on the men that attack women. Yeah, that's definitely something you should be taking into consideration here. Like, stop focusing on women's choices. It shouldn't have to come down to women's choices, period, when it comes to what they're going through. Stop focusing on their choices, like, oh, she was wearing this, or oh, she shouldn't have gone out alone. Like, no, you're missing the entire point. And now I'm getting, like, really aggravated, and I'm raising my voice, and I'm trying not to, like, blow up the microphone. But that's the point. Like, people want to come up with the biggest and dumbest excuses to be like, oh, well, she shouldn't have been wearing this, or oh, she shouldn't have gone out alone at night, or oh, she shouldn't have done this. Like, no, that's not the point. You're missing it entirely at this point. Like, you should not put fault on the victim, ever. Putting fault on the victim is probably one of the biggest reasons why people don't come forward with, like, sharing their experiences of abuse, or, like, other stuff like that. Like, that's probably one of the primary reasons why they don't come forward, is because you want to put the fault on people that are going through this, and that is one of the most ignorant things any human being could do when it comes to these kind of situations. Like, do you have any idea how brave these people have to be to come forward with their issues? Or how comfortable, or how, like, in the moment they have to be to come forward with these issues. And people want to come up with suspicions, want to doubt them, put the fault on them. Do you have any idea how ignorant and how hurtful that is to the person who came forward, hoping that somebody out there would understand and be like, I hear you, I'm here for you. And people just want to, like, drown it out. And that's one of the most disheartening things I can think of. And I've never experienced it, and I hope I never have to experience it. And I genuinely hope that there comes a change where that stops happening on such a broad scale, or in general, but hoping for something like that to change is more than likely never going to happen, because there's always going to be at least one person who still acts like they can put fault on the victim. I need a minute. Like, I'm trying to maintain my composure, keep this coherent. Yeah. But, Victoria Richards comes forth with a good point that, do men realize that women share their addresses, or, like, bars, parks, date locations with other women to keep themselves safe? Like, they shouldn't have to do that. And I'm not saying that as a male, I'm saying that as a human being. Like, women shouldn't have to feel concerned for their safety. Oh my god. And yet they do, because, and I'm not attacking other men here, but I'm bringing forward the point that a lot of men, quite a lot of men, it seems, make women feel unsafe because they do things that rightfully make women feel unsafe, and they should stop doing those things. But they're not going to stop doing those things, because as Victoria Richards points out on Twitter, like, men get away with it, and that's ridiculous that they get away with it, that they do it because they get away with it. Oh no, wait, that was Georgia O'Brien, I think. Let me make sure I have the name right. Yeah, Georgia O'Brien, yeah. And Victoria Richards also brings up, like, she's never been to a private address, owned or rented alone without texting a female friend the details, including the person's full name, contact number, and postcode. And I'm glad that women are being safe about that. But at the same time, and I'm not saying but as in, like, contrary, but as in, like, in favor of women and what they're going through. Women shouldn't have to do that. It should not have to come down to the point in modern society where women have to feel unsafe around men, and yet they do, because men are not educated from a young age not to be like this, or there's something about them that makes them act like this regardless of what's going on, and it's quite frankly sickening to know that women still have to go through this in 2021 of all times. Yeah, Jenny Stevens on Twitter shares her story. The police did nothing about her situation. Manisha Ganguly, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, comes forward about her story. And there are some people like Terry Lowe, and like I said, if these people come across us at any point in time, somehow, whether now or in the future, and want me to take this video down, I absolutely will, without hesitation. If I get a comment from one of these people themselves asking me to remove this, I will, without hesitation, because if this is not what you want to go up, then by all means tell me. I will take it down if you're one of those women. But if you're somebody's like, oh, I don't like your viewpoint, I'm not going to take it down. Like, this needs to be talked about. Terry Lowe says, tell me you're a woman in the UK walking alone at night without telling me that you're a woman in the UK walking alone at night. And it's a picture of, someone's hand, or a woman's hand, with the key, like, the sharp end of the key, or, like, I guess the blade end of the key, or whatever, pressed in between the fingers to use as self-defense weapon, pretty much. And, I mean, that is a smart way to stay safe, but again, there's the point of women should not have to do that in modern society, but they do, because men and other people, like, women can do it too, and that's not the point, because how often do you hear that? We're focusing on the mainstream part of things, like the main issue here. Yes, there's other issues that have to do with this for men, in regards to other men, and women to other women, and non-bis and non-binaries, and like transgenders and all that kind of stuff. But right now we're focusing on women and their fear for their own safety because of men in the modern society in that context. So if you think I'm like trying to leave out any issues, I'm not. I'm just talking about what's on hand right now and what's more prevalent. And if that bothers you, then I'm not sorry. This needs to be spoken about. Period. I'm trying to find more to talk about here. I'm not trying to fill time, I'm just talking about this for the sake of talking about it. Jesus. Serene Kale, I think that's how the name's pronounced. Like I said, I'm sorry if it's pronounced incorrectly. If you manage to somehow get a hold of them and it needs to be corrected, I will correct it if I can. But she said Sarah Everett hurts her heart. Last night she kept thinking about this time. A man catcalled her in the street and she told him off. And here's where the story kind of disgusts me. The dude's friend that she told off had to pull him away from her because he was screaming at her to F off, pretty much. And, like, a man should not react like that. Like, if you're that upset about being rejected, you need help. Genuinely. And I'm not making any call-outs here. I'm just stating facts. You need help if you take rejection like that. Genuinely. Like, why? What in your head makes you think that it's okay to get upset when you're rejected? Like, I don't get it. I literally do not get it. But hey, gaming with Chris. Allie, are you no, I'm not gay. Why? This has nothing to do with me. I'm just talking about a situation. I'm actually straight. I've said that in the beginning of this video. But we're talking about this issue because it needs to be talked about. I don't know why someone would ask me if I'm gay during this stream. But, okay. Back to the topic matter at hand. And I'm sorry I'm not looking at live chat. I'm kind of just focused on this right now. And this isn't, like I said, this isn't going to be gaming a video. This is not something that has to have a game surrounding it because it would take away from the focus on it. Anyway, back to business. Back to the topic at hand. Okay, Emma Coney Bear. She says, in light of the news of Sarah, it has hit home for many people. It was only the other night she was walking home from her friend's house at 11 p.m. A car stopped, and there were two men inside. They wanted to talk as they drove slow, and she felt panicked, and I understand why. And she could see her house in sight, keys in hand, and she was hoping they would take the hint and drive off. And here's a good point, and I think I might have said this in different words. But why do females have to live in fear when they're walking alone day or night? I'll walk near Sprint, hoodie up so no one can see their faces, keys in hand, music low, one headphone out, constantly looking over their shoulder, praying no one is following or close behind. She's been mugged twice in broad daylight, so it doesn't matter if it's day or night. Females walking, sitting alone are not victims. Men need to change, and that I genuinely agree with wholeheartedly. Women should not be harassed. They shouldn't be catcalled. They should not be treated like objects in general. And if you disagree with that, and you're subscribed to me, unsubscribe, please. No, I'm not even asking you. Unsubscribe to me if your viewpoints are that women should be treated like objects and you think it's okay to catcall them, treat rejection from them as a means to get aggressive, because that is wrong. You should not be aggressive to a woman when they reject you. You should not treat them like an object, period. And I'm posting this mostly because of the possible young audience I might have, and I'm trying to educate them to be better if no one else is. Because there has to be a change somewhere. There has to be a change. There has to be someone making an effort to make a change. Even if it's just through a video like this, or even if it's just like some sort of topic of discussion or something, where someone at least older can teach someone younger to like the rights and wrongs of what's going on. I would highly prefer that over complete silence and like complacency. Yeah, but things do need to change, quite frankly, and I hope it's sooner rather than later. At bbabs on Twitter, because I can't pronounce her full name, I don't want to butcher it or anything. It says, men can never understand how frightening it can be just to be outside as a woman, how they constantly, unthinkingly tuck themselves in and adjust and conceal and hold their breath and hang back, and it can still never be enough to avoid being targeted by men, and I agree with that. I literally said in the beginning of this live stream, I can't understand because I've never gone through it, and I hope I never have to go through it, and I hope that people don't have to continue going through it, because it's just not right that people have to go through it. Moya Crockett says, talking with female friends earlier, they realized they change, and for some women in their early 20s, they were outraged by the idea that they should have to change their behavior to keep themselves safe from men. And as a 22-year-old male myself, note I said male, I'm outraged that women have to feel like that the idea that they have to change their behavior to keep themselves safe from men is what needs to be done, because it is not what needs to be done. Men need to change, and I hope that's getting across to at least one person right now. And like she said, at 28 and 29, she's exhausted. Like, they're all exhausted, and they modify their lives constantly because, it's how how exhausting it is. I don't know what it's like. I don't think I'll ever know what it's like. I hope I don't have to find out what it's like to feel like that, because it's not fair to women that they have to feel unsafe around men. And it's also not fair that like men are saying, oh well, not all men. Like, yeah, we know not all men are like that, but for you to say that just to get brownie points and a pat on your own back is literally one of the most ignorant and tone deaf things you can do, given the situation. This is genuinely frustrating. I hate that this is still going on in 2021. Yeah, Abby King makes a good point. Give me 1 second. Hi, your boy Jeremiah, for joining the stream. If you're still in here or not, that's totally fine. Sorry, I'm not looking at the again at the live stream chat. I'm just talking about the subject matter at hand because it needs to be talked about, and I'm kind of focusing on that instead of interacting with the subs and the viewers. This is just an issue that kind of requires more attention than interaction at the moment, and I apologize for that. I will do live stream Sunday. How am I doing? I don't know if you can tell how I'm doing right now. I'm frustrated about this issue, and I hope you understand why I'm frustrated with this issue. This is just so frustrating. And I'm a male who doesn't have to go through this, so I can only imagine what women have to go through. I can only imagine how frustrating it must be for them. Man. This is just bad. It's not even funny, it's just so tiring that people don't want to get it. They don't get the issue. That they want to pretty much drown out the issue at hand because they feel like they're being targeted and saying, well, not all men. No, you're not being targeted when they say men make women feel this way. It's just women are saying men make them feel like this. They're not saying all men do. And you saying not all men, and I've said this so many times I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you saying not all men is ignorant. Stop saying not all men. Crying out loud. And I do admire everyone sharing their own stories. And like Samira Shackle says on Twitter, I too hate how women constantly have to perform their pain/fear and then nothing changes. Like, I could talk about this now. A bigger YouTuber could talk about this today at the same time I am, or tomorrow, or could have done it yesterday, and literally nothing will change. And that's the frustrating part about it. Nothing will change unless there's a huge progressive movement to make it change. But I guarantee a lot of people don't want to make it change. Laura Evans 311 on Twitter says we're talking about Sarah Everard today and we need to keep talking about her, but we're also talking about every woman like her. And yeah, we are, and we should be. And we need to care this much when adult industry workers go missing and they're transists are disproportionately targeted. Because like I said, this isn't just about one thing, and I'm glad like women are also talking about their transgender sisters. Like, that's good that there's inclusion there. I'm glad that we're being progressive as a society where we can include transgender women in general, just like generally including them in this situation, because I guarantee it's happened to them too. Beyond that, there are vigils if you're in London. There are a lot of news outlets saying how scores of women have revealed how they've been forced to change their routines to feel safe in public in the wake of Sarah Everard's disappearance. And that's women should not have to force to change their routines for the sake of making themselves feel safe in public. Men need to change. I, as a male, very deeply believe that men need to change, and that we need to educate and hold accountable other men when it comes to this kind of thing. Because I guarantee you there are some people out there who are defending their friends who have done these things because, oh, that's my brother, he would never do that. I would more reasonably and much more confidently believe the person coming forward about the issue than I would my own friend. And that might sound like a bad thing, but no. Frankly, it's the right thing to do is to believe the victim Because 9 times out of 10, why would you lie about something that serious? It makes no sense to lie about it. It doesn't. And just people still want to protect their friends because, well, that's my brother, that's my friend. He would never do that. No. If someone comes forward about it, you should more than likely side with the person coming forward about it, because you have no idea how hurtful that is to them, what that does to them mentally when you don't trust in someone coming forward with a traumatic experience. You know how much it takes for someone who's been through trauma to come forward about it, and then for someone to say, oh, well, that's invalid, or oh, but this, or oh, I don't believe you because this is my friend. Like, that's got to be soul crushing. That's got to be heartbreaking. And I hate that it's the norm. I hate that that's what's normal. But yeah, I think it's really all I have to say on the matter. If you disagree with my viewpoints and you've unsubscribed and you're seeing this at any point or anything like that, okay, go. I genuinely do not want to have someone in the midst of my little community of people that I do have who want to side against something that really should feel like you should be on the side of being on the right side of history. And I know that sounds like a huge opinionated thing, but it comes down to common sense. Like I said, this is stressing me out, and it's frustrating me, and I can only imagine what women have to go through when it comes to this. And if you don't know somebody personally who's gone through it, or you don't think you do, if you have a sister, talk to your sister, tell them how they feel about it. Talk to your mother, talk to your cousin, your best friend. Like, believe it or not, this is a common thing. Women probably commonly feel like this, and it's not okay. That they have to feel like this. They have to fear for their safety. That's not okay, and it will never be okay. There needs to be a change, and it needs to happen sooner rather than later. I mean, hi, your boy Cam, little JJ. Sorry, I've been off on a tangent for a little bit here. Sorry if this is your first stream of mine that you're joining in on. It's a very serious subject. We will do something else Sunday, I promise. Now's not the time to promote my channel or anything. I'm not trying to promote anything. Yeah, that'll do it for today's unscheduled live stream. I just felt like this needed to be talked about. That's it. Anything that needs to be talked about for this channel will be talked about on an upload or the gaming live stream. This isn't the place for it. If you manage to tune into this now, or if you manage to find this somewhere down the road and you agree with these points, thank you so much. If you're only here to leave some sort of disagreement or anything like that, or argue, then this isn't the place for you. I'm all about debate and discussion, but this is not the place for it. This is not something that should be debated or discussed, because it is common courtesy and common sense. That's it. Yeah, I hope I educated someone. Yeah, I hope I educated someone a little bit more about this kind of stuff, because it does need to be talked about. But thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys later, if you're new or if you're someone who's been here before now. I hope you have a good day. I hope this kind of gave some sort of little bit of hope to women out there who need some sort of, like, someone to actually talk about this. Alright, that's all I got. Sorry, but that's it. See y'all later.